From witchcraft and vampires to tap water, lawnmowers and human hair, there's a museum dedicated to almost everything you can possibly think of. Today, let me share with you the 10 weirdest museums in the world. Check out these unusual museums that are equal part bizarre and amusing.
Too many thoughts on my mind, I can't sleep at night, so I just keep writing. I don't need no help, I don't need opinions, so don't waste my time.
Museum of Bread Culture, Germany. It has been a central part of our diet for centuries. Yet hardly anyone ever stops to consider its cultural, social or religious significance while taking a bite of their breakfast toast or grabbing a chicken sandwich for lunch. However, a German father and son duo, Willi and Hermann Iselin, definitely understood the socio-cultural importance of this kitchen staple. So much so, that they decided to build the world's only museum dedicated to over 6,000 years rich history of bread. Established in 1955, the museum houses more than 18,000 exhibits related to all things bread, including baking tools that were used in the Stone Age. The museum also houses a library that has a collection of over 6,000 books which cover everything from the evolution of bread and baking to its importance across different eras and cultures. Interestingly enough, the only thing you won't find in this museum is actual bread. Funeral Museum, Vienna, Austria. Thinly located in a city that is home to Europe's second-largest cemetery, the Funeral Museum, also known as the Undertaker's Museum, boasts of a collection of nearly 1,000 artifacts related to Viennese funeral traditions and mourning rituals. Expect to find exhibits like elaborate uniforms that were worn by the pallbearers, ancient hearses, wreaths, mourning attire and a football-shaped urn. There's even a reusable coffin with a trapdoor underneath from the 1780s that was introduced by Emperor Joseph II in order to save wood. But the strangest and creepiest object on display here is a bell along with a device that's supposed to be attached to the hand of the deceased so he or she can ring the bell if they ever come back to life. Beijing Waterworks Museum, China. Formerly known as Tap Water Museum, Beijing Waterworks Museum is one of the under-the-radar attractions in the capital city. The unconventional museum traces the history of pipe water supply in Beijing, which began in 1908. Through an assortment of exhibits, including maps, photographs, rusty water pipes, water meters and old pieces of equipment, the museum depicts how Beijing's underground water piping systems were developed. Apart from being an amusing monument, the museum also sheds light on the acute shortage of clean water in the city. Dog Collar Museum, Kent, England. If you love all things canine, consider visiting the world's only museum dedicated to dog collars. Tucked inside the massive Leeds Castle in Kent, this one-of-a-kind museum boasts of a fascinating collection of canine neckwear, spanning 5 centuries. Set up in the 1970s by Irish historian John Hunt and his wife Gertrude, this quirky museum has over 130 rare and valuable collars on display. The earliest dating back to the 15th century, a bulky iron collar covered in large spikes designed to protect the hunting hounds from wolves and bears. Here, you'll also find ornate gilt collars of the Baroque period, elegant 19th century collars made of silver, chic 21st century examples of canine couture and more. Museum of Vampires and Legendary Creatures, Paris, France. Situated on the outskirts of Paris, Le Musée des Vampires or the Museum of Vampire focuses on the world of vampires and other mythical creatures and their place in folklore and modern culture. Founded by Jacques Sergent, a self-proclaimed vampirologist, the private museum features a peculiar collection of exhibits inspired by the undead. Objects on display include crossbows, spooky paintings, Dracula toys, an anti-vampire protection kit, lots of antique books on a mummified cat. Yep, you read that right. Since it's a private establishment, it's important to make an online appointment before your visit. Guro Parasitological Museum, Japan. Founded by parasitologist Dr. Satoru Kamigai in 1953, Guro Parasitological Museum features a collection of more than 40,000 parasites, 300 of which are on display. The ground floor houses specimens of different bugs that use animals as a host. Here, you'll also find maps outlining what kind of parasites thrive in which region of the country, while the second floor is dedicated to parasites that are known to infect human beings. But the main attraction in this weird museum is an 8.8 meters long tapeworm, the longest in the world, which is guaranteed to make your skin crawl. Besides preserved specimens of an array of creepy crawlies, the museum also has a library stacked with 6,000 books on the science of parasites. Plus, a small gift shop where you can buy parasite-themed t-shirts, keychains, even birthday cards. Museum of Broken Relationships, Zagreb, Croatia. Set up by Croatian artists and star-crossed lovers Drazen Grubišić and Alinka Vistica, this quirky museum proudly displays mementos of relationships that weren't meant to be, to provide a cathartic release for the broken-hearted audience. The collection of over 2,000 items includes teddy bears, postcards, letters, cigarette lighters and more unusual keepsakes like a prosthetic leg, a bottle filled with tears and an axe that was used to damage the furniture of a cheating partner. After the massive positive response from the visitors, Broken Relationships also opened a second museum that's much closer to home, in Los Angeles. Museum of Miniature Books, Baku, Azerbaijan. Sad yet wonderful museum will delight bibliophiles and miniature art enthusiasts alike. Opened in 2002, the museum is the brainchild of Zarifa Salahova, who spent more than 30 years collecting miniature editions of over 6,000 books in 65 different languages. The petite editions on display include novels penned by literary greats like Fyodor Dostoevsky and Alexander Pushkin, to name a few. The oldest miniature book here is a copy of the Holy Quran dating back to the 17th century. Museum of Icelandic Sorcery and Witchcraft, Holmavik, Iceland. Iceland is home to a fair share of weird museums. The Museum of Icelandic Sorcery and Witchcraft is one of them. Located in the small town of Holmavik, the museum highlights the dark regional history of sorcery and its place in native folklore. The collection includes an eclectic array of artifacts from magical staves, animal skulls and spellbooks to the milk-sucking demons called tilbury and a ritualistic stone used by the Vikings. The museum also shares with its visitors the real-life stories of people who were executed for practicing witchcraft, like John Rogan-Baldson, the first person to be burned alive as a result of a witch trial. Though the creepiest attraction here is a replica of Nabrok or Necropants, which is literally pants made from the skin of a man's corpse. Needless to say, this museum isn't for the faint-hearted. Avanos Hair Museum, Avanos, Turkey. Turkey's Cappadocia region is known for a lot of wonderful things: hot air balloon rides, the imposing Nuchisar Castle, mesmerizing fairy chimneys, ceramics and pottery shops, to name a few. But if you're looking for something more peculiar, check out the Avanos Hair Museum, the only museum in the world that showcases an exclusive collection of human hair. While the idea of looking at walls covered in human hair might make you cringe, the origin story of this place is actually very sweet. The owner of this collection, local pottery expert Galip Korakasiu, was given a lock of hair by his close friend as a sentimental keepsake before she left the town. Korakasiu hung that lock of hair in his pottery shop. Over the years, when the visitors heard about the touching story behind it, they cut and gave their own locks of hair to him as a token of kindness. Today, the museum has over 16,000 locks of hair on display, donated by women from all over the world. There you have it, guys. Our 10 weirdest museum in the world. Hope you like it. Please subscribe and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up.